Welcome back. Hello, my name is Brandi Rains, and this is Taking Life by the Reins. I have a very needy dog here with us today, so if you hear her, just don't pay her any attention. She'll be just fine. Lay down, please. Lay down. All right, so if you're back from last week's episode, thank you for coming back. I will tell you that I have been so nervous to put out each episode, but I have been met with such grace and love and kindness, and it's truly doing what I hoped it would do to connect with you in a real, raw way so that you can see what real growth and real work by God in somebody looks like, because I am so far from perfect, and I think that social media has an unfortunate way of making things seem better than they are. And I hope that I can help you see, like, Christians aren't perfect and your life doesn't have to be perfect to have redemption and to come out on the other end. So I'm really excited for tonight's topic. I brought myself a little bubbly, a little Poppi. Hold on a moment for the super excited to drink this with you guys tonight. I'm doing this on a Friday night. This is kind of my me time, if you will. Was that not satisfying? Cheers, my friends. Okay, so today's topic, we are going to really dive into motherhood. I think if you're a mom, you could agree that motherhood changes you in ways that you might never, ever expect, but in the most beautiful ways. It's so interesting just to think about, like, my journey into becoming a mother. It was like whiplash, literally happened in the blink of an eye. And I'll take you down that journey because I do think it's important to understand, like, how people can transform when you're becoming a mother. Like, 1 month you're one way and then you find out you're becoming a mother and it, like, literally changes you. And the thing is, if you would have asked me a year prior, in fact, 100%, a year prior to me becoming pregnant with my firstborn, I definitely said, I do not want kids. So super quick recap on, like, when I got pregnant with Riley, my first, who's now 10. Anybody else just like, how do I have a 10-year-old? Like, honestly, it blows my mind. I have no idea. Casey and I had met. This is March of 2015. We literally met, and within 3 months, are head over heels in love, like, genuinely. And I told you all in the last episode with my friend Alexa, like, I called her and was like, I'm going to marry this guy. In fact, I called her on that trip in New Orleans that we talked about. I was absolutely certain that I was going to be with this man for the rest of my life. I wasn't certain that we were going to have kids anytime soon. In fact, the funny thing is, we had went to a place called Stone Mountain, which is like I think it's a man-made mountain here locally where I live in Georgia. And we were with one of his high school friends and his wife and their baby. Their baby was not even a year old. And I remember, like, watching them, like, get the stroller out and get the car seat out, get the diaper bag, got to get the passy. They were just like, and we were, like, standing there, like, and I remember us having the conversation of, like, yeah, we are not interested in having a baby anytime soon. Like, literally, we don't want that. And, you know, obviously, coming from, like, such a traumatic childhood, I think I've always known I wanted to be a mom, but, like, I wanted to make sure that my ducks were in a row. I knew at a very, like, probably in high school, I think I pictured myself being a mom one day, but I knew exactly. It was almost like I was given a roadmap of exactly what not to do as a parent. And again, like, zero shade, honestly, to my parents. Like, I think they did the best they could with what they had. And I think that time, like, that era was so different. I say this a lot, like, you know, we're talking a lot about healing on this episode or on this season of my podcast. Like, healing from childhood trauma, healing from past experiences. And I don't think our parents, especially like the millennial generation, so our parents, whatever we call their generations, I don't think that was like even like I know mental health was like a hush hush. Like that wasn't even a thing. Nobody talked about depression or bipolar or anxiety. Like that wasn't talked about. But like it also wasn't like okay to like look weak and like talk about your feelings. Like you had to have everything like with a bow and look perfect. And that's what I love about today's day and age is like, yes, there's a lot about today that I don't love. I don't love AI. I don't love everybody being obsessed with technology, but I do love like the culture of like wanting to heal and being real and raw and being vulnerable. I love that. So anyways, we go on that trip with that little like date night with our friends and like we're like we definitely don't want to have kids. We're probably 3 or 4 months in to dating and Casey goes away to boot camp. I actually can't remember if I already told the story. So I'm going to say it super fast because Casey tells me all the time I tell stories multiple times. I should probably like write down life events I've already mentioned on the podcast so you guys don't get bored of me. But I will never forget he went away for boot camp. And I was late for my period. Mind you, we'd only been together a few months. I was late for my period. And I remember just being like, oh, I'm feeling really sick. Like this could be bad. I end up going to CVS on my lunch break. I brought the pregnancy test back to the office. I worked with the sweetest lady, Gina. Shout out to Gina. I love you so much. I literally don't have any contact with her anymore. But I think she still lives in Georgia and I would love to see her again. Anyways, I remember her and I took the test and she was the first person that I told, but I really couldn't tell much of anyone. Of course, I told Brian. You guys know Brian. I did call my mom and tell her, which was fine. She wasn't like freaking out or anything. And then I think I told, who else did I tell? I think I told Alexa and I told my friend Chantel, which was a friend from high school that had come to visit, and my roommate at the time. Like just like couple of close people, but I didn't tell anybody that like knew Casey well. I didn't tell his family, his friends, anything like that. I was super close with his mom because she did introduce us. We worked together at the time. And I remember she kept asking me, at this time, actually, she had left our real estate office that we worked together at, but like I was still really close with her while he was in boot camp. I would go to her dinner at her house. And I remember her offering me wine and me being like, no, I'm good. I think looking back, she realized like it was weird, but she didn't think it was weird in the moment. And, I had to wait like 2.5 months to tell him I'm pregnant because I wasn't going to tell him in a letter. Like, what am I going to write him a letter and tell him I'm pregnant? And I remember her saying to me things like, do you think you guys are going to like stay together long term? Like, you think you'll move with him? And in the back of my head, I'm like, gosh, I hope so. Like, I'm pregnant with his kid, but like, she didn't know that. I went with his family to Cape May, New Jersey. That's where I told him I was pregnant. He was super grateful that I didn't tell his family without him, obviously. Like I wouldn't even dream to do that, but it was really hard to keep it to myself, especially because I drove with them up to Cape May. Anyways, it was such a whirlwind when I got pregnant. Like we were young. We actually panicked when I got pregnant because we both had very minimal money. We didn't have a plan. We had just started dating each other. We really didn't know each other like that well. I mean, I will say like I think when you find your person, I think you'll agree if you have found your person in life, when you find that person, it's just different. Like you just exist together in such like a cohesive, easy, peaceful way. And like, that is how Casey and I were when we first met. Like it just made sense. We were just comfortable. I immediately was like, I'm going to move wherever you get stationed. Like I have no ties to Atlanta. I don't care about being here anymore. And it rocked us. Like it scared us. Thankfully we had some good people in our life that kind of grounded us. Casey's dad actually really did kind of help ground us. Like, you guys, you're going to be fine. Like, you guys are going to be great. I remember Casey's older brother having like a really great response to our telling him we were pregnant, and he was just like, I'm so happy for you guys. Like, this is amazing. We were like, oh, okay, like we can be happy about this. And I will say that first year that I moved to Pensacola, that I was pregnant with Riley, God worked miraculously in me. All of the trauma that I had been through in my life, all of the past experiences that I had with like bad relationships, I feel like he was like, it's almost like he helped me like break free of that and like prepare for motherhood. They do not warn you. I don't think they can. I don't think anything can prepare you for what being not even just motherhood, but being a parent feels like. It's like watching your heart walking outside of your body. It's crazy. In fact, I remember the like second night we were home with Riley, and I was sitting on the couch with Riley, and I just stood up and I was just holding her and I was just staring at her. We were standing in the living room. I bet you more than anything, Casey remembers this night too. He like came up behind me and we were just kind of like, he was looking over my shoulder at her, and we just sobbed, like literally stared at her and sobbed. Didn't say a word, didn't talk to each other about it afterwards. It was just the Holy Spirit just like letting us have this moment. And you know what's crazy? I don't know if you guys have moments like this, but it's almost like I can imagine the moment like bird's eye view. Like it was like me holding Riley and then Casey holding me and then like the Holy Spirit just around us. And in that moment, we knew we were going to be okay. And although I had no idea what I was doing, somehow it just clicked. Like that motherly instinct clicked where I just felt like, okay, I got to take care of this baby. I got to do what I got to do. Like it just clicked. The one thing I feel like motherhood has given me is like this undeniable strength and like drive. And I've always been like a hustler. I mean, I literally started working, I think I actually technically was 13, but they let me start my first shift like right before I turned 14 at Tim Hortons. Like your girl has worked since she was legal. And before that I was like babysitting, doing like odds and end jobs. I cleaned my dance studio to help pay for my dance bill and like, you know, make a little extra money that way. I have literally always had like a work ethic, but like when I became a mother, it's like when you wake up with the flu, but everybody else in the house has the flu. You're like, I got to get up and take care of it. And thank God, like, listen, if you're single, please wait for the one. Wait for your spouse. Wait for the one that's meant for you, because it makes a world of a difference having a spouse that can be the 90 when you can only be 10, that can be the 50 when you're 50, that could be the 60 when you're 40, that you can be the 30 and they're the 70. Like, it matters. But like, it's like you just have this like superhero strength. And like literally, if nobody has told you, you're a freaking incredible mother. You're an amazing mother. You are strong. You're doing things that nobody is thanking you for. You're thinking of things that nobody would even think to think of in your household. The amount of things that moms have to remember and just do naturally without even writing it down. I know which clothes need to be cleaned for the kids this week. I know what we're eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I know what dates we're going to be in town, what dates we're not going to be in town, what dates do the dogs need to be covered, what dates it's crazy how becoming a mother completely transformed the way like my brain works. And it gave me this strength to just do like no other. And I want to speak really quickly to those of you who are mothers that feel overwhelmed. First of all, same. Like, you may have heard me just say that whole lesson and you're like, oh, like, yes. And I feel super overwhelmed. Just so you know, very normal. You're actually not meant to do it all on your own. First of all, your spouse, your significant other, the person you made a child with, should absolutely be giving you the support and the help that you need. And I'm so sorry if you don't have that. Like, advocate for yourself, like you deserve that support. But also your heavenly Father wants to help, wants to carry burdens that are so heavy, wants to carry the stress, the worry, the anxiety. As a mom who comes from a background of a lot of trauma, as you know, as I've shared. If you haven't listened to other episodes, maybe go back and listen so that you know I'm not speaking from a high horse. I'm genuinely speaking from somebody who like had to learn this stuff the hard way. I know how hard and how overwhelming it can feel to desperately not want your children to have to experience the things that you've experienced, or you want them to have a better life than you had. And so there's this constant worry and this anxiety and this fear that like you're going to go back to that version of yourself, and you don't want that for your kids, or even more so like you just want better for them, right? And so there's this constant looming pressure to do better for your kids. And then let's not even talk about society and like all these kids that are wearing, Lululemon and all these designer things, and there's like this constant need to keep up with the Jones, and my kid has to wear this. And listen, I am literally guilty. Like, truly, it sickens me sometimes. Like, I'll be watching my kids and I'm like, my 10-year-old's like putting on a Summer Fridays lip gloss. She's got Lululemon leggings on. She's carrying like a little bat. And I'm like, what am I doing? And like, I have to call myself to the carpet sometimes as a mom and learn to say no more. In fact, there's a book I highly recommend. It's called, and my friend Nicole, shout out to my friend Nicole Huntsman. She was the one that told me about this book, and it's been a really amazing read. It's called How to Raise Grateful Kids in an Entitled World. Did I say that right? How to Raise Grateful Kids in an Entitled World. Yes. This is such an incredible read, but I will just warn you, you're going to feel really guilty reading it because it starts off really painting the picture, helping you understand as a parent, as a mom or a dad, whoever's reading it, the entitlement you have and how it affects your kids. And it's like entitlement in things that you're like, yes, there's like blatant entitlement, but there are things that you and I are so privileged and so entitled. And listen, I know some of you are probably listening to this and you're like, you have no idea. Like, I'm living in the slums. I'm on them food stamps. Like, I get it. I've been there. Like, I get it. But like, even then, there were things that I was so entitled to, and it's literally embarrassing to think back to it now because I've read this book, and now as a mom, I'm seeing my kids and I'm seeing what habits they have or what they expect because I've never said no to it. Man, such a good read. But this constant like pressure from society, this constant pressure from, I don't want to look like my past. I don't want to be the parent I had maybe. It's a lot of burden to hold. And your heavenly Father, he doesn't desire that for you. He wants to guide you. He wants to be your strength and your wisdom. He wants to give you discernment. He wants to help you be the best parent. And guess what? He literally he created you, and he has already written your story to be exactly what your child needs. You just have to be willing to literally open your hands and surrender yourself to him, your family to him, and go, God, it's your will. I'm just here. This is your earth. This is your house, your money, your things, your family. You guide me. Help me to be a good steward. Like, yes, we have some accountability. Yes, God wrote the story, but you and I, we have accountability as a mom to steward our family and our finances well, and along with our husbands. It's just the pressure and the anxiety and the worry, it's not actually ours to carry. Something else that is really hard to navigate, and this is something that is so like close to my heart, is the guilt for having your own ambitions as a mom. And here's the thing, this may not relate to all of you. You may not have like a career, maybe like you are a true full stay-at-home mom, into which I literally commend you. Like it's a hard job. It is a full-time hard job. But you can relate to the guilt part of this. I feel like there's this weird balance as a mom that you have, right? Where it's like you feel guilty for taking time for yourself. Or for me, it's like I feel guilty when I'm working, right? Like my husband, he retired from the military 5 years ago, graciously let me chase my dreams and build my business. And it does provide for our family and pay for our bills. And so I have this constant need or desire to make sure I'm keeping all the plates up in my business. But then I have the other side of it where I feel guilty at all times when I'm working. I don't know if you relate to that. And whatever you feel that guilt in, right? Like it may just be like, I feel guilty when I go get my hair done and I let my kids be with the sitter for 2 hours. I feel guilty going on a mom trip. I feel guilty going to the grocery store without my kids. Like, I don't know why we are wired this way, but immediately when I'm not with my kids, I feel guilty. Immediately when I'm working, I feel guilty. If I go on vacation with my husband, I literally feel guilty, even though I know that that's like necessary. There's this, and here's the thing. It's like, I feel guilty when I'm working, but I also feel guilty when I'm not working because I know like there are responsibilities that I need to keep taking care of. And it's literally this double-edged sword of, am I doing enough? Am I not doing enough? Like, am I present enough? I can't tell you how many times I've laid my kids down to bed and then like literally been in tears. Like, I could have been more present today. I could have done more today. And I will tell you, as the years have gone by, you know, I've definitely sacrificed a lot to be where we are, to build my business to where it is. And I absolutely do have regret for, and here, not even regret, I shouldn't say it like that. I have learned a lot of lessons in the last 5 to 6 years of what is really important, what is worth my time and energy, and that life is not promised. I used to think, and it's so funny because I was just literally right before recording this, was talking to a really good friend of mine about this. I used to think I'll just work really hard now, so when my kids are in middle school and high school, I can be really present, but you're not guaranteed that. You're not promised that. You're not promised tomorrow. So my best advice, if you also feel that guilt ever, is to find special moments every single day that you can just ground and connect with each other. You should do this with your spouse 1,000%. In fact, when you first wake up, I know this is about motherhood, but side note, when you first wake up, don't touch your phones and connect with each other. Like, embrace each other, hug each other, kiss each other, look each other in the eyes. Talk about your day, talk about life, talk about whatever, pray together, but connect the first thing. If you do that, I promise you, your days will start off so amazing. But then the side note of that is your children. Like, you know, it's so funny. I'll do something with one of my kids, like my daughter, I'll do a little spa day with her for 30 minutes and it completely makes her day. It fills her cup. And I'm not to say that's all I need to do with her for the rest of the day, but like she is then just so happy and fulfilled. My son, it's at night, I get in bed with him. Not that we don't spend time outside of this, but like once he's a boy, he's like running around like a banshee, right? Like if you have a boy, you get it. My son, it's like we literally get in bed at night and just like 20 minutes, he just wants to chat. He just wants to talk, tell me about his day. In fact, there's a lot of studies shown about the like children and their like letdown. Maybe it's not called their letdown, but basically like you know, when you go to put your kids in bed and they want to ask 100 questions and you're like, go to bed. Why are you still talking? You actually should stop and listen to them, because this is when kids, like, it's like their whole, like, it's kind of like the letdown of the day. Like, they come home from school and they got homework and then they play and then there's sports and there's dinner and it's rush, rush, rush. And then finally they lay down and it's like their brain kind of starts to settle and it just kind of flows out. And sometimes Hudson or Riley will ask the most interesting questions and we'll have the most interesting conversations in those moments. But it's my best advice, if you feel guilt, is find those special things with your children each day that you can do, even if it's 10, 20 minutes, that just fills their cup and fills your cup. And you feel like, I had that meaningful moment with them today. And here's the thing, you're not perfect. You're human. And maybe you'll miss that mark sometimes. That's okay. But if you're constantly, and I crave that with my kids, and I'll be honest, I didn't always crave that with my kids, and I don't think a lot of moms are willing to say that. I was very overstimulated, tapped out, stressed out. I did not love the toddler years as much as I should have. And I think everyone has different seasons in motherhood that they like thrived in, and seasons of motherhood where they were like, I love you, but like, I am ready for the next season. And I don't believe in like wishing time away necessarily, but like genuinely, I was like, the toddler phase was super hard. Like the waking up in the middle of the night, screaming. Our son was just really complicated, had a lot of belly issues, had a lot of night terrors, just was a lot. And so I didn't always necessarily crave those moments because I was overstimulated and tapped out. And I felt so guilty feeling that way. I would have never said that out loud during that time. And I hope if you're in that season of life, whatever age your kids are, right? But if you're feeling that overwhelm or you're feeling tapped out, like, you got to lean on the Lord. You got to pray. You have to literally, like, when I say like surrender and release, like sometimes I literally mean just like putting my hands out and just being like, God, please take this. I cannot carry this. I'm desperately asking you to take this. Like, and he will, and he really will. And the thing is, every time that worry, that guilt, that anxiousness creeps back into your mind, you just literally have to pray. Like, I'm just driving down the road, like, God, I feel guilty. I please, like, take this. I feel worried. I feel stressed. What if this? What if this? What if this? We're like the what if police. Like, as a parent, you're constantly stressed about so many things. With my son, there have been a couple of things lately that kind of scared Casey and I, where we were like, what is this? Or what if this? And, we could tell like some of the transitions that he had gone through in life were kind of causing stress for him. And there's nothing worse than when your kids are stressed or scared or anxious, like that 10X's in a mother, it, right? You feel that. If you're a mom, you're probably like, yeah, for sure. You have to give that to God. You're not meant to carry that caliber of stress and anxiety and worry. You have to give it to him. I think that raising kids while building a business is a mental load that is so hard. I built my business on nap time and bedtime. Like, after bedtime, I was up until 1, 2 a.m. in the morning. While I was nursing, I was like getting work done. I really did hustle to get where I'm at right now. And I will tell you that mental load will take a toll on you. And it's something that's never worth your peace or your marriage. I will say, over the years, my husband and I'm very open about this, he is as well, like, we've definitely had to have tough conversations of like, hey, come back to me, get off your phone, like, you're doing it again. And for someone like me who has really, really bad scarcity mindset, where I feel like at any given moment, everything we have, everything we've built could just fall apart, it's really hard to put it down. And setting those times where you are like mentally like checked out from work. You can put your phone away. You can completely ignore what's going on, and then just praying to God, like, let me be present in this moment. Please literally like release the chains of work from me right now. Let me be present in this moment, because let's be honest, we've all been there where we're like playing with our kids, but we've got stress for something that we didn't finish at work on our mind, and you're not fully present, and it will affect your kids. It will affect my kids. And so I'm not perfect. I'm not speaking, like I said, on a high horse. I am proud of what I've built, and I am proud that I've taught my kids what building something incredible looks like. And I think you should also give yourself that grace and credit. Like it's, the other side of it is like, I've always had to be really realistic with my kids. Like, mommy's working. Like, I'm not just like creating videos for fun, or I'm not just on my phone for fun. Like, I am working. This is how life works. Like some people's mommies and daddies, they have to go away to a 9 to 5. I chose a different path. But that path also means that sometimes I'm working in weird hours, or sometimes I'm doing things that other people who work a 9 to 5 aren't, right? Like it's inspiring to your kids. They will be proud of you. But I think the reality is you have to make sure you do set aside those special moments where you're connecting, just like real, raw, genuine connection every day, even if it's 10 minutes, because then they won't resent you and they will be proud of you. And I am grateful for my husband, who has kind of grounded me over the years and helped me, I guess, come back to planet Earth whenever I float away on my little work bubble. And thankfully, because of him, I don't think my kids will resent my work. And here's the thing. I don't think it's ever too late to start being intentional with your kids. Because I watch all the time where people, talk about like, oh, my parents were like this my entire life, but now in my adult life, we have a really great relationship and I've forgiven them, or I understand. So it's never too late. Like, I never want you to beat yourself up. You do have to give yourself grace. You are inspiring them by hustling and working and chasing your dreams. And we got to teach these kids some work ethic. I mean, I will not lie. Sometimes I think, where's their work ethic going to come from if they just are given everything? And that is another reason why reading that book is so important. Remember, it's called How to Raise Grateful Kids in an Entitled World. You have to read it if you're a parent. I mean, even if you're not a parent, just read the book. Honestly, it's incredible. Another really hard thing to navigate as a mom is being married. There's a couple sides of this. One is when you are married to somebody, and I definitely have friends that have shared this with me, and I see the heavy burden they carry, and I pray so much for them because I know that this isn't fair. But there is the reality of people who are married to people who maybe aren't their team member. They are like another one of the kids. And you hear like these jokes all the time, like, my husband's just another one of the kids. But I know what mental load that takes on you, that you're the one that everybody looks to. You're the one everybody relies on. You're the one keeping all the plates spinning, all the balls in the air. You're the one that they constantly need to make decisions and answer and cook and clean and do. The best advice that I have for you, first of all, is genuinely to pray over your marriage, and also to get mentors or be around marriages that can lift you both up and encourage you and kind of help you through that season, because it's never an easy conversation to say to your spouse, like, you're acting like one of their kids, or like, you're not helping. Like, they're always going to receive it as like you're nagging at them. And I have had several friends come to me and say like, oh, they're not doing this and they're not doing that. You have to be willing to have those conversations with your spouse in a very loving way. It is never going to be received well if you're like yelling and nagging at them or arguing with them, but instead coming from like a genuine loving place of like, listen, I'm burnt out, and like, I need your help and I need your support. And for some people, it doesn't come natural. Like for a lot of men, especially if they grew up with traditional, like their parents were in a very, like it was a very traditional house where like the man works, brings home the money, and the woman cooks, cleans, and takes care of the household. That's pretty common, right? And so if that is the household that your spouse grew up with, or maybe another scenario where it's like they didn't have a father figure that, showed paved the way, or like they just didn't have that experience as a child, so they don't have that natural instinct as an adult. You can't attack that person because they didn't learn those skills. Instead, it has to come from a place of contribution and love. Obviously, therapy is an incredible way to kind of work through that, but not all men are willing to go to therapy. So just like coming to them, I always say, like, don't talk to them in a when you're in an argument about this. Like, don't, when he's like leaving everything around, asking you what's for dinner, not helping you with the kids, don't, and then you're like in an argument, that's not the time to have the conversation. It needs to be like a level playing field, like a grounded playing field where you're going and you're like genuinely asking for help and being like, this is where I'm at. And then in those scenarios, you almost always have to give like very clear, exact examples of what would be helpful because they don't have that natural instinct. Men just in general normally don't, but like especially if they never had that example growing up, like it's so important that you give that example because you're like, I don't want to be a mom to you and our children. Like I need you to be my partner. The other side of that is like maybe you do have a really supportive spouse. Like I am so blessed. My husband has all of the natural like instincts of like taking care of a home and a family, and he's like handy and he's hot, and it's like I'm very blessed and lucky and I never take it for granted. But you have to make sure that you're making space and time for your marriage and pouring back into your marriage and showing up for your spouse and setting aside time for each other every 7 days, making sure within that 7 days you're having time together, just unplugged, you and your spouse, whether it's a date night in or a date night out or whatever. Every, I think the rule is every 7 days, a date night, every 7 weeks, a weekend away, like, or night away staycation, like at a hotel locally. And then like every 12 months or so, you do a couple days away, like a vacation. Obviously, like do that at the extent that you're capable of doing financially and with time. But like, just like even, it's so funny when Casey and I first started dating, one thing we used to do a lot was we would ride around in the car because we lived really far from each other. So it didn't make sense to hang out at either one of our houses on the weekdays because we had to go back home and like get ready for work the next day. So we would ride around in the car and listen to music and just talk. Well, that was like something really special to my husband. And when I first started my business, and this is actually something I still catch myself doing. Like, again, I'm not perfect at all. But when I first started my business, in my head, I'm like, okay, I need to get work done and we're heading to the park with our kids. So I'm going to work on the way to the park and be on my phone in the car so that when we get there, I can put my phone away. Well, in his head, he's like, wait, that was our special time. We would listen to music and talk and catch up. And you're on your phone during that time. And again, I'm not perfect. Like I still to this day have to be like, oh, put your phone down. Like we're in the car. Like let's chat. And it's not because I don't want to spend time with him or talk to him. It's just like that natural habit or rhythm that you get into that you have to break yourself of. And it's like, you can so easily become roommates with your spouse. And maybe you're there. Maybe you're looking around, you're like, man, we've become roommates. It's never too late to let God redeem your marriage and bring you back together. We've had to do it several times. We've gone to couples therapy several times. We've had really hard conversations. I will tell you, if you do the work healing yourself, your inner work, like your inner childhood trauma, your inner in what's the word I'm looking for? Your inner insecurities, right? That maybe have come from past relationships, experiences, trauma, whatever. If you do that work, then in the times when you have to have vulnerable conversations, because that was something that I did not love doing, is having vulnerable conversations. I would have rather jumped off a building than had a vulnerable conversation. I don't know why. But when you can heal yourself enough to have those really vulnerable conversations and be like, hey, I feel distant. I feel unloved. I feel like, my love language is not being served or my cup is not being filled. Like, and also have the conversation and then not be offended by your spouse's response and not being embarrassed, because it can be embarrassing when like you realize you've done something wrong. I'm like literally preaching to the choir, by the way. Like, this is stuff that we've gone through and had to like work through and still to this day do. But it's just so important. Like, if you're a mom, you have to be willing to make time for your marriage, because one day those kids, they gone, and that is all you have. And you got to make sure you're not just roommates when that day comes. This last little topic that I was going to cover, I was very hesitant because I never want to throw shade at anyone in my life that like made decisions or helped me as I grew up or whatever. I only ever want to just speak from my experience. One thing I realize as a mom that I desperately try to avoid is like things that I've been through, things that I've done that were true mistakes, whether by me or other people, that I want to protect my kids. I'm mama bear. I want to protect them. And it's so interesting. So my 8th grade summer going into, my 9th grade year going into my 10th grade year, I remember I finally went to the doctor because I had gotten a lot of teachers over the years telling me she talks too much, she can't focus. Like, it was just like whatever. Come to find out, finally diagnosed, like officially, we already knew this, that I had ADHD. And I was prescribed to Adderall. A couple months later, go back to the doctor. I'm talking to them. Mind you, I'm a teenager. I have no clue what I'm talking about, whatever. I go back and I basically tell them like, yeah, it helps, but it kind of like tapers off midday and it's not helping me at the end of the school year anymore, or at the end of the school day anymore. And so at that point, they kind of just like, and this is like in the early 2000s. And this is when they're giving away Adderall like candy to kids. I mean, I can't tell you how many kids in my high school just had access to it, like to a prescription that didn't even have ADHD. They would just go to the doctor and say, I can't focus, and would be able to get it. So I go back to the doctor. I tell them it's not working like all day. So then they end up upping my dose into 2 different like time frames. So I took one in the morning that like hit me quick like a 20 milligram regular. And then they gave me another one in the afternoon that was an extended release pill. So at this point, I'm on like 50 milligrams a day of Adderall. And you may not even know what that is. It's an ADHD medication, but it is literally like speed or cocaine, in my opinion. I've actually never done either of those, but how people describe them, it's basically like you're just like Bradley Cooper in Limitless. You're just like zooming through life, no emotion. You're like not eating, not drinking water. Like, it literally made me skinny, skinny, skinny. That was another reason why people took it in high school, which was crazy. Like, people would just take it to get thin. And it got to a point where I was taking so much a day that I couldn't sleep at night. So I went back to the doctor and I told them like, okay, I can't sleep at night. So then they gave me Ambien to sleep at night, which is like a sleeping pill. And it's just like so crazy to think back to like how much of a zombie I felt. And I was on that kind of like cadence of medication all through high school. And it's actually like one of the very reasons why. So like when I graduated high school, I cold turkey stopped. I didn't end up gaining a lot of weight. That did contribute to like my moods and like how kind of snappy and mean I used to act like when I first started working at Disney, because I had cold turkey stopped because I was just like, I feel horrible. So completely stopped. And it's crazy because like that was a very big contributing factor to me starting my own supplement company, was like wanting to be able to take something every day that was natural, that made me feel good and helped me with like my brain fog and my ADHD. I found that functional mushrooms, taking them daily, really do help me with the focus and the brain fog. And I am such a huge advocate for my kids to be able to give them natural remedies or natural things that help them. We actually work with a holistic pediatrician for our kids. They've tested all of their panels and their markers. And I think as a mom now, I look back and think, what were these doctors thinking? Like, I would have been like, absolutely not. It's not even a question in my mind. And let me just be clear here. I think there are very specific instances and cases where medication is absolutely needed. But there was no holistic or conservative approach in my medication plan at all. Never, ever was there like, is she getting enough sleep? What's her diet look like? Does she take any vitamins? Like nothing. Which also, I think the time, like in the early 2000s, I guess maybe that wasn't even a thing. I don't know. I was an adult during that time, but it was like maybe we didn't question what people were giving us. And so as a mom now who knows what it feels like to be so medicated that I felt like a zombie, I feel like I am such a protector and a mama bear, and I want to give kudos and also like encouragement to those of you listening that are moms. Like, don't be afraid to push back. Don't be afraid to question what doctors say. Don't be afraid to get a second opinion, a third opinion, a fourth opinion, a fifth opinion. Don't be afraid to really consider your options when it comes to your kids. Like for me, like when I look back, I wish somebody would have advocated more for me, because I also don't know like what all that medication did to me long term, right? Like there could still be side effects I'm still dealing with from then now. And I think about that on such a deep level. I do also think that that is something you have to surrender to God a little, like for direction, not a little, a lot, because it's so scary what is out there now and what Big Pharma is pushing. Like it's scary. And I'm just grateful. I think, it could be easy for me to be really mad about like what I went through and being put on all that. But I think that it created in me now somebody who's like never going to just like settle, never going to just like listen to one person, never going to just like throw medication at my kids. Like I'm constantly going to advocate for them and always lean towards a holistic or conservative approach. Kudos to you if that's something that you do as well. And if you don't, it's okay. But just know like there are so many small tweaks as a mom that we can make, even just in our kids' diet, cutting dyes, cutting certain oils that literally, I mean, when I tell you, transformed my kids, truly. And I was in a desperate place with my kids, and I wasn't necessarily like so strict on their diet. And I say diet, I'm not strict on their diet now, but there are certain like non-negotiable things that I've cut out for my kids. And then they are on a vitamin plan with their holistic pediatrician based off of their blood work and like their specific markers. I'm not just tossing like random things for them to take. I'm not giving them Flintstone vitamins. Is that even a thing anymore? That's so funny. But like that constant pressure of like making sure you're doing the right thing for your kids, like just continue praying through it, but also like advocate for them because you are exactly what these kids need. Like God made you perfect, the perfect mother for them and perfect in his image. And like you are capable of being the fighter for them, the provider for them, the lover, the comfort, the strength with God behind you, like just like literally holding us up. I am certainly not the mother that I was before I had kids, and I thank God every day for that. I think that having my kids truly made me a better person. In fact, Casey and I say all the time, like, we were kind of on, like, I mean, as you heard last week, we were kind of on like a wild train and just kind of like living and just doing whatever we wanted. I think God was like, these two have something special. I brought them together. They have such a deep connection and love. I need to slow them down. And he literally was like, boop, here's a baby. Boop, here's another one. And there are definitely days that I wish we just had like a whole slew of these little babies running around, but we feel super blessed. And if I can give you advice from my mama heart to your mama heart, it's one, you're doing amazing. You're a good mom. You are truly, truly the most incredible, special person in your children's world. It is never too late to be more intentional. It is never too late to advocate for your kids, and never feel guilty for doing the things that you know are best for them, because one day they're going to look back and go, my mom was a rock star. She was a superstar. And I know that mom guilt is like such a thing, but man, there's not a perfect equation and there's not a perfect roadmap for balancing it all and doing it all and figuring it all out. But as long as you're doing the best that you can and you're constantly asking God for guidance, you're going to do just fine. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go finish up my Poppi and watch me some trash TV. Turn my brain off for the night. We'll see you on the next episode.